I still remember I was still a young boy fighting against very professional Germans, starting companies where it's very tough. But I survived and I created some companies in Germany, and 3 years ago I realized when I came back to Southeast Asia, this is my one-time opportunity that I don't want to miss. That's why I decided to come back and basically launch Kejora. And what we do in Kejora is basically investing in winning, obviously, hopefully, and most important for us, sustainable companies. So we rather grow 2% slower, but create something sustainable and long term. Really solid company. We don't like to just create valuations, but we really try to create value in the companies that we invest in. So we also want to learn from the experience what I had in Europe, of course, what we learned from our neighbors in China, in US, from the big experience there. So when I came back to Southeast Asia, I realized, okay, this is like a really blue ocean, like a really big green field. There's the tech ecosystem just started, right? Learning from our big brothers in China. Back then, in year 2006, there are founders like that created Alibaba, Tencent, now creating one of the biggest tech ecosystems in China. And if you start a company in China, probably you will directly have 40, 50 competitors. But only one will be backed by the BATs and the big ecosystems, and basically the others have really hard time to survive. In Southeast Asia, we don't have the BATs yet. So we are committed at least to build one of these tech ecosystems to help our startups to expand in the region very fast, and hopefully can give added value for our startups. So we have now offices in Indonesia, Philippines, in Thailand, Singapore, and also soon in Malaysia and other countries in Southeast Asia. And hopefully really can help operational with our network to scale them fast. A little bit of our about journey. So we had 3 years in the market. We have until now 29 investors. And we created directly over 700 jobs. But indirectly, we created more than 5,000 jobs through our agents, through our drivers, etc. Currently, we're sitting with offices around 5,000 square meters across Southeast Asia. We're working on some projects that allow us to grow to 8,000 square meters within the next 3 months. Hopefully, we can announce that soon. And we're lucky, so it's not only about speed. It's not only about quantity, but we're really focusing on the quality. So we're proud to say that at the moment, from the Kejora Ventures, our business model is very simple. When some founders come to me and say, Sebastian, I have this best idea, nobody ever in this world has thought about it, we say, probably we are not the right investors for that. So we're actually quite boring. So what we do, we look what is successful in other countries, including Europe, China, US, other parts of the world. And by successful, we mean really solid revenue companies, if possible, really big revenues, and sustainable companies. So that kind of companies we like, and we believe if somebody likes to drink coffee in Europe, probably will also like to drink coffee in Indonesia or Thailand. And if they like to buy things online in Europe or in China, it's just sooner or later, a matter of time, they're going to buy similar stuff in this region. So we were very focusing on bringing these best practice models to Southeast Asia and help them expand as fast as possible, because in this digital investments, it's a little bit different than maybe restaurants. Some digital businesses are winner-takes-it-all market businesses. So either they're the number one, then they probably take almost over 70% of the market. So speed and timing is everything in the digital ventures. So as I mentioned, we created an ecosystem. So we have different activities. In the investment space, we created from the very early stage. So that's a collaboration with one of the telcos in Indonesia. Ideabox, where we invested in 16 companies, and through Kejora, which is our focus, we invested in the first fund around $500,000 to $1 million per company. Currently, in our second fund, we invest $3 to $5 million, and we invested in another 12 companies. Technology obviously is changing the world. Most of you know this. I don't want to bore you, but just interesting to see in US now 6 out of the 10 most powerful persons are in the technology. A lot of you probably familiar with this chart. Back then in 2006, basically the world is controlled by many industrial companies, big banks. But now in 2016, 2017, we can say most of the really biggest market caps in US are in the tech sector. And also in China, the wealthiest people are in the tech sector. Right? And so why did I come back to Southeast Asia? Obviously, why? First of all, because I'm Asian and from Indonesia, so I thought it's easier. But when I look at the market, everybody is talking about India. It's a huge market, yes, 1.2 billion population. But if you look at exactly, the GDP is around 1.8 trillion, while ASEAN, which is only half of it, is 2.5 trillion. So I believe it's not only about population. I think population is definitely a key aspect to grow big tech companies. It's definitely helping. But at the same time, the people need to be ready to buy things. So they need to have the right money in the pocket to buy things online. Otherwise, it's too early. So I believe Southeast Asia is on the right time. And obviously, why Kejora decided to go to Thailand, because I would say Indonesia and Thailand is the two biggest economy in Southeast Asia that contribute more than 50% of Southeast Asian GDP. So definitely a very important market for us. And our colleagues from China, they've been facing this, what we see now happening in Southeast Asia. I mean, if you look at the GDP, what we have now, we are currently like China in 2009. I would say China started around 2005, 2006, and then really began to exploding after that. I think this is where ASEAN is now. So we see some similarities. Back then in that years, the first unicorns popping up in China. We see the same thing happening now in Southeast Asia. The unicorns are coming. I think in a couple years after that, we see the IPOs happening in China. We're not too much there yet, but I believe we're going to the similar path. If you look at India, we are still at 1,800 GDP per capita, so we'll take them probably a couple years to really have the full market digitalized, or at least buying products online. I mean, they're probably using things on the internet, but really buying things is really depending on the money in the pocket. So we are quite lucky, and this is what I said. When I started in Germany, I'm this young boy, doesn't understand. I mean, I could speak German, my first language, but it's because I didn't know anyone. It was really hard for me to grow the company. So we're very fortunate to have the right partners. So our strategy in Southeast Asia is not like China. It's a big island, continent. While Indonesia, Southeast Asia, we have so many different islands, different languages, different culture. So if I go to Thai, I want to learn more, but at the moment I can say Sawadee Krap, Khop Krap, that's pretty much it. But I think to really grow a company in Thailand, we need to know the people. That's why we're really lucky to have advisors and really good friends like Kun Chachawam and some other investors that are also in this room. We're very, very thankful. In Indonesia, we also have very strong families that are supporting us. The same we are trying to build in all parts of Southeast Asia. So when we start a company, we can directly help to scale the startup there fast. And obviously, we need an experienced team. So my partners, Andy, for example, is over 20 years in the tech sector. There's pretty much the Mr. Mobile of Indonesia. Mr. Eri, which is already over 25 years in investment banking, and a couple years also partner in $600 million private equity fund. I think we are very complementary, and we also have Kun Peng, which is helping us now in Thailand to grow the companies faster. Just a little bit about Fraction. When we started this, we are talking to investors that were in the heavy industry, so they were asking me, Sebastian, what is internet? Where's the asset? We're normally investing in big buildings and big industries. Why I don't see anything where you're investing? So I said, okay, please trust me, and we will give you money back and maybe give maybe 25% IR. We're now lucky to say we've probably reached almost 10 times more than what we expected. So I think we've proven the first two to 3 years that at least our theory is now beginning to be reality. So since we are lucky with the first fund, we decided to speed up setting up our second fund. It's a lot of work. I call myself international beggar. But I think we're happy to, after a couple of months in the market, we announced our first closing, and now we are basically on our second closing, hopefully end of April, where we raising more to get to our final closing of 80 million. This is a little bit about, so we just started our second fund, but we're already investing actively. Also already invested in 6 companies. So I think 3 of them will present later. So we have in the fintech, in the HR, logistics, and also a couple in the fintech area. Which I want to add, and later you will see, we tried not to work with very young, fresh grads. So we notice a lot of these startups everywhere in Southeast Asia. They're really high motivated, fresh grads, young persons. Unfortunately, the reality is that only maybe 1 out of 100 or sometimes 1 out of 1,000 of these motivated guys are really successful in becoming a really sizable company. But the reality is most of them will be failed. And if they're really persistent, maybe they try another company and that will be successful. But we decided we don't want to invest too much in these young motivated guys, because sometimes it means we pay for the education. So we rather really invest in experienced people, and I think if you see the resume of the people that are there, and you will see also introduced to one of our founders later, they're really experienced people, long in the industry, have deep knowledge and understanding what we're doing and what they're planning to do. So, but Southeast Asia is changing rapidly. So this is when I came to Indonesia. Indonesia looked pretty much like this. So it's like a really green field. So imagine you're in real estate. If you're in real estate, you probably go to an empty land, buy the land while it's cheap, try to build a big building on top of it, and sell it when expensive. And if other investors come, they either buy it from you, or work together with you, or build on the top of this building. Pretty much that's what's happening in internet. Indonesia started like this, and we decided, should we fight the fight that's already there in e-commerce? We decided to go somewhere else, so more in fintech. I think we made the right decision, because the e-commerce fight is now really money-extensive investments. So we went to go to finance, HR, logistics, etc. And then suddenly, so many different players came into the market from international players. So we believe that, we call it land grabbing. Land grabbing in Indonesia will cost around 5 billion. But sooner or later, Southeast Asia will look like this, and there will be a huge upside coming, and that's not going to happen in 50 years, but it's going to happen in the next 10 to 15 years. So speed is everything, the right timing is everything. If you look at US started in 95 with the tech ecosystem, 99. Then 2010 we see is really saturated. China started in 2005. 2006. 6 years later, it's really saturated already. So in the saturated market, you need to be very innovative to create these big companies. But the chance of creating innovative companies is lower to create really successful companies. That's why we said, okay, let's now speed up and invest as much as possible while it's still cheap. But as I mentioned before, we don't want to just invest. We want to help the startup to grow faster. We invest also in a huge ecosystem, basically only to help our startups to grow faster. So at the same time, we try to create kind of barrier of entry or a winning formula for startups, right? So now we have close to 100 million users. If we start a new company, we want to connect them directly to our ecosystem and kind of tai chi our traffic to the new companies. So they grow 3 times faster than the competition, or the competition needs to spend 3 times more money than us. So we have different activities from the Idea Box, Found Institute. We founded a FinTech association, which in Indonesia pretty much help the FinTech economy to grow. We are very involved discussing with the government what kind of regulation to set up. So I think it's very helpful also for the startups to grow. And for example, a lot of other activities like Mobile Monday, which is a meetup of 6,000 mobile experts. And we have a lot of partners, so we believe together we are strong. We want to partner as much as possible. So we have working with many strong parties that support us, and we're very grateful for that, and continuously hoping for more to join. This is just some examples where we meet important people, including presidents, governors in Indonesia. I think the same with the network, but we have through the families that are our partners here. We have access to the, I would say, to the gatekeepers. So Southeast Asia, we don't have the Chinese mall, but we have a lot of gatekeepers here. So if you don't know the gatekeepers, it will take time to really grow a startup. So for us, it's one of our key assets that we have access to these gatekeepers. This is one of our pictures of our activities. So we are planning to do the same thing what we're doing, being successful in Indonesia and now in Thailand. So we will be more actively here with your support. This is our office in Jakarta. As mentioned, around 4,000 square meters in Jakarta within these 3 years. We are starting a new office in Thailand. This is just the beginning. So we're currently talking with several other partners to really grow fast in Thailand and build a similar ecosystem that we built in Indonesia. And with the support of some of our investors, we even want to, they support us to build just a tech building. So this is just still in progress, but this, for you just to imagine how fast the tech ecosystem changes. And now we are kind of preparing together with the help of our LPs to build a building where it's around 300,000 square feet, where all tech companies can sit in Jakarta. So, as I mentioned, when we invest, we are looking also for the right partners to support our fund. And our goal is to really build synergies between us and our investors. So we learned a lot from our investors. They obviously have years of experience, but we recognize that actually we also give back to our investors. So for example, some of our investors are Samator Group, which is one of the largest industrial gas producer in Indonesia. They were doing all their trucking offline, so bringing heavy, dangerous goods from A to B, and everything was inefficient. So now with the help of our startup, they're now doing all the transportation automatically and optimizing the fleets where the trucks are and become more modern and suitable for this age, digital age, right? As example, also Pawun. They're helping companies like Kapal Api, which has many distribution stores and coffee shops, Now they integrate it everywhere, and basically the owners can manage and know what's happening in all the stores. And together with InvestStream, because we are installing in tens of thousands SMEs, we basically, through this point of sale, know what's happening in the SME. So pretty much now there's going to be a button where the SMEs just can apply for a loan and get it instantly. And then as one of our testimonial in the video, Propan, also our investor, they integrated the insurance of the companies with CD8 and saved a lot of money with that. So we see we're giving, like, it's a win-win with our investors, and this is what we're planning to do more. I think we want to build more synergies, and actually Kejora wants to be also more active in corporate innovation. So, but why do we, I mean, people also ask me, Indonesia is big enough, why you want to do regional? And I think the reason is what we realized, for example, companies like Grab, they started in Malaysia, which is a very nice country with, and the GDP is quite advanced there in Southeast Asia, but it's at the same time a 30 million population, which is the size of Jakarta. And I think they recognize that they cannot just live in Malaysia, so they expand very fast to Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, everywhere, and raise so much money that imagine, raise billions of dollars. So imagine a taxi app which raised $10 million in Philippines. It would be very hard for them to fight against Grab. Even a player in Indonesia like Gojek, they raised $750 million. If they would fight just head-to-head, definitely will be also challenging. So I think for us, also the direction in our companies that we started a couple of years ago is now going regional. For example, later you will get to know C88. It's our first company. It's now already market leader in Indonesia and Philippines, and currently in Thailand and Malaysia, looking to expand very fast. I think we definitely need to go regional. So last but not least, I think now startups get to know, okay, it's getting hot in here, more competition are coming. So we cannot just walk step by step, because we're going to be too slow. So that's why I think we need to join forces. So I think this year is going to be more the age of consolidation and collaboration. So otherwise, we'll be too late, because then the big players from other countries, such as China and Japan, or Europe or US, will come to this region and just sit on us, and then the startups cannot survive. So I think we need to join forces, and this leads me to the last message. I think when I started my first company in Germany, I had 100% of my company. And I think I was living quite nicely in Europe. I enjoyed living in Europe. I have enough money for myself. I think I would say I live above the average. But I didn't create something really valuable. I didn't create something that's moving the world. So I think now we have this one-time opportunity, this next 3 years, 4 years, to build something really powerful in Southeast Asia. But I think our job is really to connect this huge region. Because if Thailand works alone, Indonesia works alone, Philippines works alone, it's big enough. But probably, if we can see, Southeast Asia is half of China, so we have huge opportunities here. We just need to work together, and our job is to connecting the dots. So really inviting everyone to join forces before it's too late, and really help us create something valuable and sizable in this region. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sebastian Kogan. Thank you for your kind words. Founding partner of Kejora. Now moving on to the next.